Namaste students, welcome to the next episode of English class. In today's episode, we are going to discuss about active and passive voice. What is active, what is passive voice, and some related questions which can come in the examination, sample questions. So, are you ready? Let's start the class. Now first, what is a voice? What is the meaning of voice? Voice is the form a verb takes to indicate whether the subject of the verb performs or receives the action. It means the subject is receiving the action or performing the action. Based on their performance and receiving of the action, the voice can be changed. If it's receiving, it becomes passive voice. If it's the performer of the action, then it becomes active voice. For example, in the first example, you can see here, birds build nest. In this, birds is the subject, build is the verb, action verb, and nest is the object. So, we can see here the action is performed by birds. Birds is the subject here. So, this sentence is in active voice. If you look at the second one, nests are built by the birds. In the second example, we can see that nest, the object of the active voice is becoming the subject. So, subject comes here, the object becomes subject and the subject is nest here. Nests are built by birds. So, here the receiver of the action is nest here. So, this is passive voice. So, based on the voice, we can change sentence into two types, active and passive voice. Let us look at the different examples and its usage. In active voice, the subject performs the action expressed by the verb. In active voice, the subject performs the action, and in the passive voice, the subject receives the action. For example, when more clarity and straightforward relation is required between verb and subject, we use active voice. And passive voice is used when the action is the focus, not the subject, or when the doer is unknown. Now, what are the rules of conversion from active to passive voice? You should identify the subject, verb and object in the sentence, change the object into subject, put the suitable helping verb or auxiliary verb, change the verb into past participle form of the verb, add the preposition by, change the subject into object. So, this is the rule to change active voice into passive voice. Now, let us look at some examples. For example, first, Samir wrote a letter. In this, Samir is the subject, wrote is the verb, a letter is the object. Now, if we are changing this voice, active voice, into passive voice, what happens? The object becomes the subject. So, you have to start the sentence in passive voice with the object of active voice, a letter. Now, here wrote is there. Simple past will change into past participle. Wrote is changed into was written. A letter was written by Samir. By whom? The action is done by whom? Samir. So, here object, auxiliary verb, past participle form of verb, and by along with subject. So, this is the rule to frame passive voice or change the sentence into passive voice. Let us take one more example. You must not leave the door open. This is an active voice. The subject, verb, modal auxiliary verb plus main verb, and the door is the object. This is the subject and this is the verb. Now, how will you change into passive voice? The door must not be open. The door becomes the subject, must not is the verb, be left open. Verb becomes, it is changed into past participle form, leave is changed into left, and the object is open. Another example, Alex wrote an essay about his grandfather's Alzheimer's. Alex wrote an essay about his grandfather's Alzheimer's. Now, in this Alex is the doer of action, the subject. Wrote is an action verb. Then the remaining all the words which are followed by the verb are called as object. They are the receiver of action. Now, if you change this into passive voice, the object will become the subject in passive voice. An essay about Alzheimer's, the verb will become changed into past participle form, was written by whom? By Alex. Alex is the subject here, so here the subject is changing into object, the doer of action. Now, tips on using voice. What are the tips? Few tips to remember so that you can solve the questions easily in your exam. First tip, now usage of let. If the given sentence in the active voice is in the imperative form, to change into passive voice, use let in the beginning. For example, help me. This is an imperative sentence. Help me. Now, how will you change into passive voice? You have to use let in the beginning. Start the sentence with let. Let me be helped. Let me be helped is the passive voice of this sentence, help me. Open the door, let the door be opened. This is also an imperative sentence, it is an order, open the door. So, when you are changing into passive voice, you have to start with let, the object becomes the subject, the door be opened. Let the door be opened. Now, coming to tip number 2. Helping verbs like am, is, are, was, were, will, have, should, could, will, all this changes their form. They begin with, if the question in the active voice begins with a helping verb, the passive voice must also begin with a suitable helping verb. Now, let us look at example. Are you writing a letter? If you see in this sentence, this is starting with a helping verb. Are you writing a letter? Now, here are is in present tense and this is ing form. So, when you change it into passive voice, again the verb should be in suitable, it should be suitable. Because here the subject you is there, you means it a one person, single person. So, you are using a suitable verb. Is a letter, is, are is changed into is. A letter becomes the subject here, being written by you. This is how you change the questions into passive voice. If you take one more example, will you write a letter? Will you write a letter? Here this is the modal verb, you is the subject, write is the main verb and a letter is the object. When you are changing into passive voice, will remains will, object is becoming the subject, a letter, be written, verb is changing into suitable form, be written by you, subject is getting changed into object. I hope you have understood this. Now, if we have what, when, who, why, how, WH words, if the question begins with WH or how form of verbs, then the passive voice must begin with the same, only in exceptional case who gets replaced by whom. All the words what, when, how all remain same except if there is a word who in the sentence, it will change to by whom. So, let me explain you this with an example. Why did you break the box? In this example, the question is starting with or the sentence is starting with WH word why. Why did you break the box? Now, how will you change this into passive voice? Why will remain why, as it is same, it is not changing, we have to use the same word. Why was the box broken by you? Here did is the past tense. So, we are using the past form of helping verb, thinking verb was. Why was the box, break will change into past participle, broken by you. Next, who broke the window? Just now I have explained you who will change into by whom, except who, all others remain same. So, you have to change who to By whom? By whom was the window broken? By whom was the window broken? Next, coming to tip number 3, gerund or infinitives. If there are gerunds or infinitives, how will we change that into passive voice? When used in passive form, gerund and infinitives are formed differently. They are changed into different forms. For example, let us take up the example of infinitive. In infinitive form, or in passive, when we are writing passive with the usage of infinitive, we use to be plus past participle form. To be and past participle form of verb. For example, I want to shoot the tiger. I want to shoot the tiger. Here we are using to infinitive. So, how will you change into passive voice? I want the tiger to be shoot. The object is becoming the subject, and here you are using to be shot. Shoot is changed into past form shot. So, you are using be form, be plus to be plus past participle form of verb. I want the tiger to be shot. Let us understand the gerund form. If you are using gerund, then how can we change into passive voice? Whenever a gerund is there in the sentence, then you have to use in passive voice being plus past participle. I remember my father taking me to the theatre. This is the active form. Here you can see, I remember my father taking me to the theatre. So, how will you change into passive voice? I remember will be same. Now, here taking is the verb, main verb. So, you have to use along with the main verb, you have to change the main verb into ing form or gerund into being taken. Being plus past participle form of verb, taking is changed to taken to the theatre by my father. Tip number 4, direct and indirect objects. So, in some sentences you have maybe one or more than one objects. It can be one object or two objects. So, the first one is called as direct and the second object is called as indirect object. So, if a sentence contains two objects, in the direct and the indirect object in active voice, we can write passive voice in two forms. We can change using direct object and we can write using indirect object also. For example, she bought me a cup of coffee. Now, in this we have two objects. In this sentence we have two objects. She is the subject, bought is the verb, me is the direct object. Me is the direct object and a cup of coffee is another object, second object. This is the first direct object. So, how will you change it? She is changed into me is changed to I. I was bought a cup of coffee by her. Me is changed to I. Past form brought is changed to was brought. A cup of coffee, she is changed into by her. If we take the indirect object in the first before and start the sentence, a cup of coffee was brought to me by her. A cup of coffee was brought to me by her. I hope this is clear. Now, object complement. When made passive, these objects complements become subject complements, they come after the verb. They elected him their leader. For example, they elected him their leader. Now, in this they elected, they is the subject, elected is the verb, him is the direct object and their leader is the indirect object. So, him will change to he. He was elected their leader. They is changed to their leader. Now, cases where by is not used. There are some cases in passive voice where we don't use by. For example, use with in place of by to talk about an instrument used by the agent or subject. For example, somebody hit the dog with a stick. A sentence in active voice, somebody hit the dog with a stick. So here also we can write two forms of passive. First is the dog was hit by with a stick. The dog was hit by with a stick. Or the dog was hit by a boy. There are cases where by is not used. We can use with in place of by. Okay. The dog was hit with a stick instead of by. The dog was hit by a boy. Always remember, when we are talking about people we use by. When we are talking about objects we use with. Impersonal passive. In scientific or technical business writing, the emphasis is usually on action or process. So the by phrase is generally omitted. One finds mosquitoes everywhere. One finds mosquitoes everywhere. In this sentence, mosquitoes are found everywhere. So here we are not writing the sentence here, we are not using by here in this passive voice. There is no need of by in this sentence. Cases where no passive forms exist. There are few sentences where we cannot change those sentences into passive voice. For example, present perfect continuous cannot be changed into passive voice. She has been writing a letter. This cannot be converted into a passive voice. Past perfect continuous cannot be changed into passive voice. Future continuous cannot be changed into passive voice. Future perfect continuous cannot be changed into passive voice. It remains the same. Now, so the rule is bring the subject, bring the object first. When you are changing the active sentence into passive sentence, bring the object first, choose the correct be form of verb, choose verb into participle and add by in the subject. This is a common thing we use. There are exceptional cases where by is not used. So most commonly by is used along with the subject when we are framing the passive voice. He helps me, he helps him, he is helped by her. Did you teach us? Were we taught by you? Did is changed to verb. She has to prepare food. Food has to be prepared by her. Who told you about the accident? Remember, just now we have discussed who is changed. WH words are changed, are not changed, only exceptional cases who. Who is changed to by whom. By whom were you told about the accident? People are destroying the jungle. The jungle is being destroyed. By the people also you can write, it's not necessary. So these are the forms which active and passive. In active and passive voice it changes. Present simple will change to present perfect, present progressive will change to present continuous, present perfect in active voice will change to past perfect, simple past will change to. Now let us look at some sample questions for your practice. Let us solve this. My uncle promised me a present. Now in this we have 4 options. A present was promised by my uncle. I was promised a present by uncle. I had been promised a present by my uncle. I was promised a present by my uncle. Now always remember the rule. Subject becomes the object, object becomes the subject and verb change accordingly. Here the verb in this sentence is promised, is simple past tense. It will change into past participle. So the correct sentence is me is there, me will change to I. So first can be eliminated because a present is starting with a. Now you are left with 3 options. Here in this you have had been promised, it's wrong. So now left with 2 options. I was promised a present by my uncle. I was promised a present by my uncle. So the correct option is I was promised a present by my uncle. Both are same. Next, I know him. Options: he is known by me. B, he was known to me. He has been known to me. He is known to me. Again, remember the rule, subject and verb, change subject accordingly to subject to verb and verb to subject and object. Sorry, I know him. In this example, you have 4 options. He is known by me, he was known to me, he has been known to me, he is known to me. Now, to convert it, remember the rule, subject will become the object, object will become the subject, and you have to change the verb accordingly. So, here in this example, know is in simple present tense. So, it will change into present perfect, be form of verb plus V3. So, the correct option is he is known to me. He is known by me is wrong. He was known to me also is wrong because it is in present tense. He has been known to me also is wrong. He is known to me. Here you have to use, in passive voice you have to use be form plus V3 form of verb. The clown was being laughed at by them. Options: A, they were laughing at the clown. B, they laughed at the clown. They were laughed by the clown. The clown was being laughed at them. So, you all know subject and verb. Now, you have to focus only on the verb. Here, the clown was being laughed, was being laughed. This will change to, remember, was is there, and here object is plural, by them. So, it will change to were laughing. They were laughing at the clown. Them is changed to they. They were laughing at the clown. If you read the sentence, other options, they laughed at the clown, that is wrong, because here past form is used, only simple past. They were laughed by the clown also is wrong, because here you see ing form. In the answer also they should be, in passive form also they should be ing form. So, here you can see ed form. So, these 2 options are wrong. The clown was being laughed at them. The clown was not laughing, they were laughing at the clown. So, here this is the correct. All these 3 options are wrong. Now, you get other kind of questions also sometimes, like why did your brother write such a letter? This is a sample question from previous year. The passive form of the above sentence. What can be the answer for this? Let us see such kind of examples. I saw him leaving the house. He had been seen leaving the house. This is A. He was seen to be leaving the house. C. Leaving the house he was seen by me. D. He was seen leaving the house by me. So, how will you change into passive voice? I will change to me and him will change to he. Remember the pronouns, change of pronouns. I will change to him, I will change to me, and him will change to he. So, now verb is saw. Saw will change, simple past will change it to past perfect. Saw will change into seen. So, if you see in the options, he had been seen leaving the house, this is wrong. He was seen to be leaving, here you cannot use to be form. Leaving the house, ing gerund form you cannot use. So, the correct option is he was seen leaving the house by me. This is the correct option. If you look at the next one, we hope that we shall win the match. Now, in this, we hope that we shall win the match. Options, the match is hoped to be win, match winning is our hope, it is hoped that the match will be won by us, winning the match is hoped by us. So, what is the correct option? The match is hoped to be win, this cannot be correct sentence, so this is eliminated. Match winning is our hope, this also cannot be correct. Winning the match is hoped by us, we cannot start the sentence by ing form because here subject is there, we hope. So, correct option will be, it is hope that the match will be won by us. We shall win the match, that is there. So, what we are using? We are starting the sentence with And here verb, shall, modal verb is there, it is in present tense, so you should use is. And hope is their main verb, you have to change into past form. Hope will change to according to the subject. Here we is plural, that is why we are using, match is singular, so we are using is. According to a sentence, the subject changes, am, is, are. So here in this example we are talking about match, so you have to use singular form is. It is hoped that the match will be won by us. Next example, you will have finished this work by tomorrow. This work will have been finished by tomorrow, option A. Option B, this work will be finished by tomorrow. Option C, this work will have finished tomorrow. This option D, this work will have been finished by tomorrow. So here you have to change the verb will have finished to will have been finished. Will have will change to will have been finished. This work will have been finished by tomorrow. The correct option is D. Here by is not there. This work will be finished by tomorrow also is wrong. This work will had finished tomorrow also is wrong. The correct option is this work will have been finished by tomorrow. Look at next example. The noise of the traffic kept me awake. Options, I remained awake by the noise of the traffic. Option B, I was kept waking by the noise of the traffic. C, I was kept awake by the noise of the traffic. D, the traffic kept me awake by the noise. So if you see, the verb is in past tense, kept. You have to change it into past participle form. And here, how will you change it? The correct option is I was kept awake by the noise of the traffic. I is singular, so you will use I was kept awake. I was kept awake by the noise of the traffic. Option C is the correct option here. Next sample questions which can come in your exam in active and passive voice only. For example, they will give you two statements and ask you which statement is correct. Sometimes one statement will be correct and the other will be wrong. Sometimes both will be correct, sometimes both will be wrong. So you get options like A and B are correct, neither A, B is correct, only A is correct, only B is correct. So let us try to solve such questions. She was married by him. Milk was contained by the glass. There are two statements. A, she was married by him. B, milk was contained by the glass. Options, sentence A is correct. Option 2, sentence B is correct. Option 3, both A, B are correct. Option 4, both A, B are incorrect. Now if you see the first one, she was married by him. Milk was contained by the glass. Both the sentences are wrong. They are grammatically wrong. Actually, the correct sentence is she was married. By should not be there. She was married to him. The preposition to should be used instead of by. In statement B, milk was contained by the glass. This is also wrong. The preposition by is wrong here. Milk was contained in the glass is the correct preposition. So both statements are wrong. Here the correct answer is both A, B are incorrect. Next example, it is time for the syllabus to be completed. Statement A, it is time for the syllabus to be completed. B, it is time for the application be posted. Now option sentence A is correct, sentence B is correct, both A, B are correct, both A, B are incorrect. Now if you see, it is time for the syllabus to be completed. It is time for the application being posted. If you see first statement, it is time for the syllabus to be completed. It is grammatically correct. It is having subject, verb and object in proper place and in correct form, they are correct. If you look into statement number 2b, it is time for the application being posted. If you see here, it is time for the application, till here the sentence is correct, but here being posted, before being, to be is missing. Actual sentence should be, it is time for the application to be posted. You have to, this being form of verb is wrong. You should use to be posted. So, correct answer is, sentence A is correct, sentence B is wrong. What is being asked by the teacher? A statement, what is being asked by the teacher? Statement B, the questions being asked by the teacher. Now, which one is, you have to find any mistake in this. Is there any mistake in this? What is being asked by the teacher? It is grammatically correct. The questions being asked by the teacher. So, option here is both the sentences are correct. Next one, you are advised don't smoke. You are requested to dance. If we see both the statements, you are advised don't smoke. B statement, you are requested to dance. Which is incorrect in this? Are they both correct? Are they both incorrect? Or any one is wrong in that? If you look here in B statement, you are requested to dance. You find subject, verb, main verb, helping verb, main verb and object, which is correct and grammatically correct. So, there is no mistake in this statement is correct. Let us look at the first one. You are advised don't smoke. There is a mistake here. You don't say don't. You must use not to smoke. You are advised not to smoke. So, option A, statement A is wrong, statement 2 is correct, B is correct. So, correct answer is 2. Next model in passive voice, active and passive voice, another form of questions, some sample questions let us solve. Without this helping verb, passive voice cannot be written. Options: be form of verb, do form of verb, have form of verb, will form of verb. To change active into passive, be form of verbs are very important. Without be form of verbs, we cannot change the sentence into or voice into passive voice. So, correct option is A, be form of verb. This verb does not have passive form. Option A, transitive verb. Option 2, monotransitive verb. Option 3, ditransitive verb. Option 4, intransitive verb. Remember, transitive verbs, monotransitive verbs, mono means one. So, you have in that in monotransitive verb, you have only one object in passive voice. In ditransitive verbs, you have two objects and you can change the passive voice into two passives, two types of sentences, which we have discussed earlier in the beginning of this episode. Intransitive verb does not take any object, so you cannot change that into passive. For example, the door closed. There is subject and verb, but there is no object here. So, correct option is, this verbs does not have passive form. Which verbs does not have passive form? Intransitive verbs, because they don't have any object, they don't have passive forms. All transitive verbs, mono, ditransitive verbs can change into passive. Next option, no one becomes in passive voice. If in active voice no one, a sentence is starting with no one, what it will take or change into passive voice? Helping verb plus not by anyone, option A. Option B, helping verb plus not by no one. Option C, helping verb plus not plus preposition plus anyone. Helping verb plus not plus conjunction plus no one. For this kind of sentence, always remember, we have discussed earlier, whenever no one, sentences starts with no one, nobody, nothing, etc. in active voice, the passive voice, the object of the active voice will change into passive voice. So, here you have to see the object of passive voice plus helping verb plus not plus V3 form and preposition. It will change to anyone, anybody or anything. No one will change to anyone. For example, no one helps me. This is the active voice, no one helps me. So, here me is the object, this is changing to I. Object of the active voice will change into subject, me is changed, the pronoun is changing, me is changed to I am. Here simple present tense is used. So, I am, you have to use not whenever no one, anyone, anybody, nothing is there. No one, nobody, nothing is there. You have to use not in the sentence. I am not helped by anyone. So, the correct answer is, what should be used? It should be anyone. So, option C is the correct option. In passive voice, only this form of main verb is used. We have discussed in main verbs what kind of tense the main verbs use or change into, whether it changes into present tense or past tense, past participle form. In passive voice, only this form of main verb is used. Which verb is used? Only present tense, only past tense, past participle or present tense. Remember that in passive voice only V3 form is used. If in active voice it is past tense, it is changed into past participle. So, correct option is C. The main verb changes into past participle form of verb. Next question. These are correct statements except. You have to find the incorrect one. Out of 4, any one is wrong, 3 are correct. So, you have to look at which option is wrong. Subject becomes object in passive voice. We have discussed this, and you know that always when you are changing passive voice, the subject of the active voice becomes the object in passive voice. Second option, object becomes a subject in passive voice. Yes, that is also correct. Object changes to subject in passive voice. This is also correct. B plus V3 in the verb structure is in passive. Yes, we take B plus V3 form. This is also correct. Preposition be is taken with any type of verb. Now, here you need to concentrate. Preposition by is taken with any type of verb. Whenever by is there, it cannot be used with any type of verb. We cannot use by always. There are some verbs where we use other prepositions also. You can use to. It changes accordingly. For example, if you are using to preposition, it comes after married to. He is married to my sister. So, you cannot use by here. The correct preposition is to. For example, another sentence, milk is, this bottle, milk is contained in this bottle. So, here in this, along with this verb contained, you cannot use by, you are using in, correct preposition is in here. If you look at, take the example of satisfied as main verb, you cannot say satisfied by, you say satisfied with him. I am satisfied with his work, I am satisfied with his responses, I am satisfied with him. You do not use by here. So, the correct preposition is with. If you look at main verb known, you do not use known by, he is known by me. This is wrong. You say known to me, he is known to me, she is known to me. Next kind of questions which you get in your exam. You get a sentence which are divided into 4 parts. and there is an error in any of the part. There can be an error, there cannot be an error. So you have to identify whether the sentence is in passive voice. If it is in passive voice, whether the verb form, subject, verb, object are correct or not. Let us try to solve this kind of questions. Look into the first example, all children were. This is the first part of the sentence. Told to a story. This is the second part. By their teacher. Third part. Fourth part, no error. Whether option 4 is error is there or no error is there, whether the sentence is correct. So read carefully. Subject, all children were. All is there, children plural, so verb plural. This is first option, this part is correct, there is no mistake. Told to a story by their teachers. The doer of action, by their teacher. Who is telling the story? The story was told by the teacher, by their teacher. So by their teacher, this part, this third option is correct. But if you look in second option, told to a story, all children were told to a story, there is a mistake here. Mistake of usage of preposition. You don't use a preposition here. There is no need of preposition to here. All children were told a story by their teacher. That is the correct option. So to is extra here, preposition. You should say to a story. All children were told a story. You should use told a story, not told to a story. No preposition should be used when there is a direct object. Here story is the direct object. So when you are using a direct object, there is no need of any preposition. All children were told a story by their teacher. So there is a mistake in option 2. So correct answer is 2. Let us look at the second sample. English has spoken all over the world. English has spoke. Subject, verb, helping verb, spoken, V3 form, all over the world, object. Is there any mistake? There is no mistake. The sentence is perfectly. Is there any mistake in this, any part of this one? English has spoken all over the world. Yes, if you look here in first part, has is used, which is wrong. You should say English is. In passive voice, we change verbs into be form of verb. So here English is the subject, singular, so you should use the correct helping verb is. English is used, English is spoken all over the world. Here has is mentioned, has is wrong. So option A is, option 1 is the correct answer. There is a mistake in option 1. Let us look at third one. The movie was not watched by nobody, no error. First part, the movie was. Second part, not watched. Third part, by nobody. Fourth part, no error. Just now we have discussed when in active voice nobody is there, nobody, no one, nothing will change to anyone, anybody, anything. So here the movie was, subject and verb is correct. Not watch also is correct. Helping verb plus main verb correct. By nobody. Here nobody will not be used in active voice. In passive voice, nobody, the subject should change to anybody. So there is a mistake in option 3. In passive voice, if not is used, always wherever not is there in a sentence, along with not you have to use helping verb nobody while changing to anybody. Along with not, this nobody will change to anybody. When there is a negative sentence, so nobody will change to anybody. Remember this. Next option, medicine should be taken on time, no error. Medicine, first part of the sentence, been taken, third part, on time, no error. Subject of the sentence, medicine, verb should, been taken. If you see here, there is a mistake here in verb form. Been taken is wrong. Medicine should, when you are using should, along with should, you should use be. Medicine should be taken along with the medicine should be taken on time. So, there is an error in this sentence. Part 1 and part 3 are correct, but there is in part 2. There is a mistake. Usage of helping verb. Been is changed to be form of verb. You should use be instead of been. Next example. We were alarmed by the news. No error. We were alarmed. First part 1. In second part, alarmed. Third part, by the news. Fourth part, no error. Or option. Let us look at option first. We were, subject and verb. This is correct. There is no mistake in option 1. Option 2, alarmed. We were alarmed. Sentence is correct. Subject and verb alignment is there. If you look here in part 3, option 3, by the news is given. Whenever you talk about news or alarm, surprise, etc., you don't use preposition by. By is used for person, by him, by me, by them, etc. So, here the preposition by usage is wrong. You should use at the news. We were alarmed at the news. So, there is a mistake in option 3. The correct answer is 3. Now, another example. A dog was, first part of the sentence. Second part of the sentence, beaten cruelly. Third part of the sentence, by a belt. Or the sentence is correct, no error. Let us look into subject, verb and object. A dog was, because singular is there. A dog, one dog. Was helping verb is correct. Part 1 is correct. Beaten cruelly, past participle form of verb. This is also correct. Cruelly also is correct. By a belt. Remember, just now I have told you, by is used when you are talking about person. We can say a dog was beaten cruelly by a boy, by a person, by a man, something. But we cannot say, when we are talking about objects, we cannot use by along with objects. In passive voice, when we talk about objects, we should use with. Instead of by a belt, we should say with a belt. A dog was beaten cruelly with a belt. By is used for persons, by somebody. The dog was beaten cruelly by somebody. But here, when belt object is mentioned, you should not use by, you should use with. We have discussed all kinds of models which comes in exam related to active and passive voice. I hope you are able to solve the example questions, and with this kind of examples, the other remaining, if you practice regularly, in the exam you can solve any questions or any sentences which are given in the paper easily. I hope this episode was useful to you all. Thank you.